Morning students. In this video we will discuss about second chapter, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Flowering plants are also called angiosperms. So this is the one of the most important chapter for all different types of exams. So this is very lengthy and very important. So what is the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants? Already in previous chapter I taught you what is sexual reproduction. Once again, I will remind that what is sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, in this process, it is the formation and development of new individuals through the formation and fusion of gametes. And here, gametes are not directly produced by sporophytic structures. Instead, they produce spores. Sporophytic structures produce spores, and spores produced gametophytes. Then gametophyte develops into another sporophytic body. And flowering plants are also called angiosperms. In angiosperms, specialized organs for sexual reproduction, they are flowers. So what is flower? So flower, it is a modified condensed reproductive shoot. It is a modified condensed reproductive shoot, or simply flower is a modified shoot. And all of us, we are very familiar with flowers because flowers constitute most beautiful structures, and they have varieties, and they have different shapes, and they have different scents. And flowers are the objects of aesthetic, cultural. They are the objects of aesthetic, cultural, and ornamental and religious values. And human beings also used flowers for expressed to love, affection, grief, and mourning. And how flowers are formed? Flower is the modified shoot, and flower is the site for sexual reproduction in case of flowering plants. How actually flower is formed? So already I told you, for formation of flower, hormonal changes. Hormones cause structural and physiological changes. It causes structural and physiological changes in the shoot apices or shoot apex. So due to structural and physiological changes, shoot apex or shoot apical meristematic tissues, they are converted into inflorescence. Then inflorescence modified into later it converted into floral primordia. Then floral primordia give rise to floral buds. Then floral buds undergo anthesis. Anthesis means opening of flower. Then floral buds undergo anthesis to form flower. So flower is a modified shoot. So flower is the site for sexual reproduction in case of flowering plants. And this flower in angiosperm, formation of flower is one of the most unique nature. In angiosperms, flower has 4 organs. And what are the 4 organs? It has 4 floral organs, and these are the 4 floral organs, and it has large number of. This is the axis of flower. The axis of flower is known as pedicel, and this is the seat. Seat is called thalamus. Thalamus is also known as torus, and this is the first floral organ. The first floral organ is known as calyx. Each part of calyx are called sepal. This is one sepal, and this is another sepal. And this is the second floral organ. The second floral organ is known as corolla. Individual parts of corolla, they are known as petals. And this is the third floral organ. The third floral organ is known as androecium. And each part of androecium is known as stamen. And this is the last floral organ. This is known as gynoecium. Each part of gynoecium is known as carpel. And this is the ovary. And these are the ovules. And this flower in angiosperms or flowering plant, flower mainly has 4 organs: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. First 2 organs like calyx and corolla. Calyx and corolla both are called non-essential organs. Non-essential organs, or they are also called accessory organs because they do not take part in fertilization. And third and fourth floral organ, they are called androecium and gynoecium. Both are called essential organs because they are directly take part in. These androecium, gynoecium directly take part in sexual reproduction or fertilization. Hence, androecium and gynoecium are called essential organs. So, angiospermic flower has mainly 4 floral organs. What are 4 floral organs? Calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Calyx, corolla indirectly helps in fertilization, but androecium and gynoecium, they directly take part in sexual reproduction. So already I taught you in the previous chapter. So sexually reproducing organisms, in their lifespan, there are 3 events. What are the 3 events? Pre-fertilization events, fertilization events and post-fertilization event. So in flowering plants also, all flowering plants, they perform sexual reproduction. So in flowering plants life cycle also there are 3 events. What are the 3 events? Pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. So accordingly, we have to discuss all these events. The first event are pre-fertilization events. Pre-fertilization events and structures. So what are the events and what type of structures? What type of structures involved in pre-fertilization? So pre-fertilization events means events takes place before fertilization. They are called pre-fertilization events. What are pre-fertilization events? Gametogenesis and gamete transfer. So here androecium and gynoecium both are essential organ. Androecium is male reproductive organ and gynoecium is female reproductive organ. So we have to discuss these 2 reproductive organs. The first one is androecium. First reproductive organ is androecium. So androecium is male reproductive organ and each part of or the unit of androecium is stamen. So stamen is also called male reproductive organ, or stamen is also known as microsporophyll. Stamen is also known as microsporophyll. And each stamen has 2 parts. So this is the long stalk and this stalk is known as filament, and this is the uppermost part is known as anther. So each stamen has 2 parts, filament and anther. What is filament? It is long slender stalk. It is the long slender stalk of stamen. And this filament proximally attached with thalamus. It is proximally attached with thalamus or sepals, or sometimes they may be attached with petals. And distally it has anther. So proximally, what is filament? It is a long stalk, or simply the axis of filament. The axis of stamen is called filament, and proximally it is attached with thalamus, sepals or petals, and distally it has anther. So what is anther? It is a knob-like. Fertile part. It is a knob-like fertile region of stamen. The knob-like fertile region of stamen is known as anther. And each anther has 2 lobes. If you observe this diagram, this is one lobe and this is one lobe. So each anther has how many lobes? 2 lobes. Lobes are also known as thecas. So each anther has 2 lobes, and both lobes are separated by a sterile parenchymatous tissue, and this sterile parenchymatous tissue is known as connective. And this connective possesses vascular strand. The connective possesses vascular strand. Let us discuss the structure of anther, because anther is the fertile part. Ultimately, the male gametes are produced by anther. So let us discuss what is the structure of anther. So anther, if you observe the transverse section of anther, TS of transverse section of anther, and each anther, what is anther? It is an oblong, fertile part of stamen, and each anther has 2 lobes or 2 thecas. So that's why in angiosperms the anther is known as bilobed anther, or it is also known as dithecous anther. There are some exceptions. If you observe the Malvaceae family, and anther has only 1 lobe. If anther has only 1 lobe, that is known as monothecous anther. So monothecous anther present in only Malvaceae. Except Malvaceae, in remaining families, the anther is bilobed or dithecous anther. And here each anther lobe, if you observe the diagram of transverse section of anther, transverse section of anther, then each anther lobe, and this is one anther lobe and this is one anther lobe, both are separated anteriorly by a connective. This is the connective has vascular strand, and this is one anther lobe and this is one anther lobe, and each anther lobe has two pollen sacs. Our pollen sacs are also called microsporangia. What is microsporangia? Microspore producing structure. So if one anther lobe has 2 microsporangia, another anther lobe also has another 2 microsporangia. So overall, 2 lobes of anther has how many microsporangia? 4. So that's why the bilobed anther is also usually known as tetrasporangiate anther. Tetrasporangiate. Tetra means 4. Sporangia, 4 microsporangia present. So bilobed anther or dithecous anther is commonly known as tetrasporangiate anther. But there are 2 exceptions. One is Wolffia, smallest angiosperm, and second one is Ascitobium. In these 2 plants, Wolffia is bilobed, both are bilobed anther. Like these 2 lobes are present, but in Wolffia, one lobe has only 1 microsporangia. So overall, the 2 anther lobe has only 2 sporangia. That's why in Wolffia, the anther is called bilobed but bisporangiate. Bilobed, but this is bisporangiate. In Ascitobium, anther is bilobed, but overall the entire anther has only 1 microsporangia. So that's why in Ascitobium, the anther is called bilobed and monosporangiate or unisporangiate anther. So there are some exceptions. Other than these 2, in remaining cases, the bilobed anther is known as tetrasporangiate. And each anther lobe has 2 pollen sacs or 2 microsporangia. And these 2 microsporangia, they are also separated by a long groove. This is a groove. There is a separation like structure between 2 microsporangia. Here also there is a groove, long groove. Here also there is a long groove. And now this transverse section of anther, mainly it has 2 parts, the outer part and inner part. The outer part of anther, structure of anther, or the transverse structure of anther, mainly it has 2 regions, outer part and inner part. The outer part is known as anther wall, and inner part is called homogeneous sporogenous tissue. Anther has mainly, this is bilobed anther. This bilobed anther has two parts, anther wall and sporogenous tissue. And this is the outermost, from here to here, anther wall, and this is the sporogenous tissue. The outermost region of anther is called anther wall, and innermost region is called sporogenous tissue. And this is anther wall, and anther wall, this anther wall again has differentiated into, the anther wall again differentiated into 4 layers. The outermost layer of anther wall is called epidermis, and second layer is endothecium. The third layer, middle layers, and innermost layer of anther wall is called tapetum. And after tapetum there is a homogeneous tissue that is known as sporogenous tissue. If you observe diagram of NCERT textbook, then you understand very well there are 4 layers in the anther wall. This is epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, and tapetum. The first layer of anther wall is epidermis. So what is epidermis? This is the outermost normal covering of anther or protective layer. The outermost protective layer. The outermost protective layer of anther is called epidermis. If this epidermis protect all inner tissues. And below the epidermis there is second tissue that is called endothecium. The cells of endothecium larger than cells of epidermis. The cells of endothecium, they store large amount of water when water is available and become swollen. And the cells of endothecium also contain thickenings of alpha cellulose on its radial and tangential walls. So thickenings of alpha cellulosic thickenings present on the cell walls of endothecium. So due to presence of cellulosic thickenings, the endothecium is also called fibrous layer. So when water becomes shriveled, and endothecium helps in dehiscence of anther or bursting of anther. And this is the endothecium. So when generally endothelial cells, they have thick cell wall. Endothelial cells have thick cell wall. But endothelial cells between 2 microsporangia in the groove, where there is a long groove, shallow groove, here endothelial cells are also present. But these endothelial cells, they have thin wall. And thin walled endothelial cells between 2 microsporangium is known as stomium. So this stomium helps in dehiscence of anther. So what is dehiscence? Dehiscence means bursting, because pollen grains develops inside the anther. So pollen grains must liberate out. So for liberation, so anther should burst or should undergo dehiscence, and dehiscence of anther usually it is initiated by stomium cells. What is stomium cell? Thin-walled endothelial cells between 2 microsporangium. And third one is called middle layers. So middle layers, they are 1 to 3 layers of cells. 1 to 3 layers of cells present beneath the endothelium is called middle layers. And middle layers, they are ephemerals. Ephemerals means they have very less lifespan. They help in dehiscence of anther. The first 3 layers, epidermis, endothelium, and middle layers, these 3 layers, when anther is very young, they protect the anther, and when anther become mature, these 3 layers helps in dehiscence or bursting of anther. And the innermost layer of anther wall is known as tapetum. The cells of tapetum is also larger. And what is tapetum? It is a nutritive tissue. Tapetum is a nutritive tissue. It nourishes developing sporogenous tissue. The cells of tapetum is larger than cells of middle layers, endothelium, and epidermis, because tapetal cells show polyploidy condition. So polyploidy condition means if the cells have more than two sets of genome or more than two sets of chromosomes or more than two genomes, then the condition is known as polyploid. A polyploidy condition in tapetal cells, that is due to endoploidy. So endoploidy or polygyny chromosomes, endomitosis, that means that is the failure of separation of chromosomes at N of S. So polyploidy condition of tapetal cells mainly due to endoploidy condition, or that is also due to polygyny chromosomes. So due to polyploidy, the cells of tapetum appears bigger than the cells of middle layers, endothelium and epidermis. And the tapetum, what is tapetum? It is a nutritive tissue. So at the time of dehiscence, the tapetum totally utilized. And this tapetum, the tapetum usually it is of two types: amoeboid tapetum and secretory tapetum. Amoeboid tapetal cells, they passes into the sporogenous cells and nourishes the sporogenous tissue. And secretory tapetum also nourishes the tapetal sporogenous cells, but it helps in secretion of various materials. It helps in secretion of lipid-rich UBs bodies. So UBs-rich bodies, they helps in formation of sporopollen on exine of pollen grain. So they helps in secretory tapetum helps in secretion of lipid-rich UBs bodies. They are required for synthesis of sporopollen on the exine of pollen grain. And secretory tapetum also secrete pollen kit. So what is pollen kit? It is sticky yellowish substance present on the entomophilous flowers. And this secretory tapetum also secrete callose. It also secrete enzymes like callase and hormones like indole 3 acetic acid. But ultimately at the time of dehiscence, tapetum ultimately completed and tapetum nourishes developing sporogenous tissue. So these are the four layers of anther wall: epidermis, endothelium, middle layers and tapetum. And next one is, the next part of anther is sporogenous tissue. So sporogenous tissue fills, it is a diploid tissue. It fills interior of the microsporangium. And the sporogenous tissue develops along with the growth of anther and increase their number. And every cell of sporogenous tissue is able to develops into microspore mother cell. And if you observe the microsporogenesis, so this is very important for 2 marks question. What is microsporogenesis? So at the center of microsporangia there is a homogeneous tissue that is known as sporogenous tissue. This sporogenous tissue directly modified into pollen mother cell. So pollen mother cell is also diploid, and this pollen mother cell, it undergo meiosis to form 4 microspores jointly. So that is called microspore tetrad. So formation of microspore tetrad from microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell is known as microsporogenesis. Then each microspore tetrad separated to form pollen grains. Each microspore is known as pollen grain. Then pollen grain undergo various divisions to form finally male gametes. And the entire sequence of process is known as microsporogenesis. So formation of microspore tetrad from microspore mother cell is known as microsporogenesis. Here one microspore mother cell undergo meiotic cell division. That means the structure which undergo meiotic cell division, that is called meiocyte. Here pollen mother cell is also meiocyte, and it produces 4 microspores jointly. That is called microspore tetrad. Microspore tetrads have different shapes, and the common shape is tetrahedral. And in some cases this is also there, decussate, T-shaped, linear, tetrahedral, ricochet, T-shaped and linear. So these are also, there are the different shapes of microspore tetrad. But the common shape is tetrahedral. And there is one species, Aristolochia elegans. In Aristolochia elegans, all the different types of microspore tetrads, they are present in Aristolochia elegans. And here all microspore tetrads, when microspore tetrad, so microspore tetrad internally it is connected by, means microspore mother cell, they develops internally a chemical that is called callose. Chemically callose is beta 1,3 glucans. Beta 1,3 glucans. It is produced internally by pollen mother cell. That's why all microspores are jointed. When callose is degenerated by callase, then each microspore separated to form pollen grain. So 4 out of 4 microspore, when the tetrad is separated, then each microspore is also called pollen grain. So out of 4 become functional. But there is a one family that is called Cyperaceae family. In Cyperaceae family, out of 4 microspores, 3 microspores are degenerated. 3 are degenerated, only 1 microspore become functional. Only 1 microspore become functional. The remaining 3 microspores are degenerated. And in some plants like Calotropis and other related plants, in some plants like Calotropis and related plants, pollen grains of one pollen group, one anther lobe, all pollen grains of one anther lobe, they fuse to form translator. Is pollen grain a translator or compound pollen grains? And in some cases like Ulfia, so if you observe Ulfia, one microspore tetrad, usually one microspore tetrad produce 4 pollen grains, but in Ulfia, one microspore tetrad produce 11 microspores. If more than 4 microspores present in microspore tetrad, then it is known as polyspory. So ultimately, pollen grains, when anther become mature, the sporogenous tissue produce pollen grains, and dehiscence of anther liberate the pollen grains outside. So in the next video, we will discuss about the structure of pollen grain and development of pollen grain.